Welcome to ECON1000. I am Ali Merkel and I'm happy you're here watching and learning with me. Before we dive into the world of economics and learn more about economic concepts, we will start with a short introduction to economics. And the objectives thereby are to first define the discipline of economics and then trace economics throughout history as is relevant for the topics to be covered in this course. And lastly, we will analyze the importance of economics in this lecture. So what is economics? How it is defined? The word economics was first read in ancient Greek, and it was derived from the word oikos, which means house, and nomos, which means law. So it basically means household management. Thus, economics tries to answer the question how households manage their resources. And nowadays, or in modern economics, this definition still holds. Yet we use the term household in a broader sense than the typical nuclear family here, meaning that a state is considered to be a household too. Before we give a more specific definition, I want you to consider these questions. Do you have everything you want? Why don't you have everything you want? And what are some scarce resources that you face? And what does scarcity force us to do? And what did you give up to be here today? Think about it for a couple of seconds before we discuss these questions. So, do you have everything you want? I think that this question can be easily answered with a no. It is probably safe to say that we are constantly aware of things that we do not have. And it can be money, it can be time, or it can be just a coffee that we would like to drink now. Why don't you have everything you want, and what are some scarce resources that you face? Well, you don't have everything you want because nothing is unlimited. On the contrary, everything is limited. Money is limited, time is limited, coffee is limited. In other words, your resources or our resources are scarce. And what does scarcity force us to do? Or what did you give up to attend this lecture now? Well, having scarce resources such as limited time and money forces us to make decisions. After graduating high school, for example, there is a decision to make whether to attend college or start working right away. Or to attend a lecture right now, you all had to give up something. Some of you gave up sleep, or others work, or simply spending time with family and friends. And these questions are meant to illustrate some essential concepts in economics, which are scarcity, trade-offs, and opportunity cost. So scarcity describes the universal phenomenon that arises because resources are limited. Or in other words, there are only so many hours a day that we can allocate towards hanging out with friends, working, being in class, sleeping, etc. But that in turn means that each individual faces trade-offs. And trade-offs describe that in order to do or have more of one thing, we can only do or have it at the expense of getting less of something else. So you sitting here today came at the expense of something, which is precisely how we measure trade-offs. So trade-offs are measured in what is given up, or what we call opportunity cost. Your opportunity cost of sitting here right now could, for example, be the money you could have made if you would be working instead. So considering that economics studies human decision making based on the concepts of scarcity, trade-offs, economics can be defined as the social science that studies how people make decisions in the face of scarcity and the resulting impact of such decisions on both society as a whole and on the individual therein. Yet, economics is not the only discipline that studies human decision making. So how is it different from, for example, psychology or the humanities? Well, economics uses marginalism as a methodology to study human decision making, and in the next lecture we will learn what that actually means. But economics also uses opportunity cost as a main measurement, which psychology and the humanities usually do not. And economics assumes a rational decision maker, yet rational not in the sense of what is morally understood as the right thing, rather rationally maximizing benefits. And in the next lecture, we will pick the idea of rational decision makers up again, and we will talk about how a rational decision maker behaves. So obviously, not everyone who signed up for this course is going to major in economics. Yet I think it can still be helpful to have some economic foundations. And here I just listed some reasons I think why economics is important. I think economics is important because economists develop conceptual models of behavior to predict responses to changes in policy and market conditions. And economists use rigorous statistical analysis to investigate these changes, which is a discipline or a subdiscipline that we call econometrics. And with their work, they contribute to the development of many public policies, including healthcare, welfare, and school reforms, but also efforts to reduce inequality, income inequality, pollution, and crime. And whether you major in economics or not, economic fundamentals may help you to better understand what is going on in the news and provide a tool for making decisions in everyday life.